Hello and welcome to this introductory lesson into working with layers. In this lesson, we're going to learn how to rename a layer, how to create a new layer, how to duplicate a layer, fill a layer, move and arrange your layers, delete a layer, create layer groups. We're also going to review some old skills like selecting an object, refining selections, changing the color of an object, and using layer styles. So let's begin the lesson. When we look at this image here, you'll notice there are 5 rings in a radial composition. Each gemstone is a different color. This was created using this file right here. And this is the file we're going to use. The first thing we want to do is we want to do save as and name the file. So let's go over here, file, and we're going to go save as, and you're going to put your name on that file. My name is, well, let me start with my period. I'm going to be in period 1 today, and my name is Cuevas. And this is going to be my ring project, so I'm going to call it rings. And I'm going to pay attention where I save it. I'm putting it in my Dropbox. I'm simply going to hit save, and that's where it's going to be. Now, let's begin. We need to make a selection. I would do this quickly by using a quick select tool and getting most of it. And then I would refine the edges using a lasso tool, which would be here. But for the sake of time, I know you know how to do that. Quick review, you'll know what to do. I'm going to load my selection, which is pre-made, called rings. I have a lovely selection here, and I can use that. Now, I want to delete this background, but I run into a problem. If I try to delete this background right now, and I'll show you what happens, if I hit the, I go select inverse, and when I hit delete, it asks me for what to fill it with. And I want to fill it with nothing. That's not an option. So I don't want to do that. Instead, what I want to do is I want to change the name of the background. I'm going to double click here. And instead of leaving it called background, I'm going to give it a new name. I'm going to call it ring. R-I-N-G. And I'm going to hit OK. Now when I hit delete, the background simply goes away. It won't delete, Photoshop won't delete the areas of a true background, so that's why we renamed it. Now I'm going to hit Command-D for deselect, and now I'm going to duplicate this layer. A lot of different ways to do it. You can go over here and you can say duplicate layer, and that would work. Another option, by the way, let's use the move tool so you can see. I like to use the move tool, hit the option key, and then I can see that I've duplicated it. So here, like that, and here. Now I've got 5, which is what you need. What you want to do next is you want to take and you want to rename all these. No, we don't have to rename them yet, but as we work on them, we're going to rename them. So let's do one at a time. We'll start off with, let's see, who's up on top here? That'll be fine. Well, now I want to start with the one up top here. So this one. Now, if you're picking stuff up and you're not grabbing it, notice over here, I have auto select. If I turn that off, I grab this one, but I can't grab that one. If I turn on auto select, I can move anyone. It becomes very intuitive. So I suggest you place auto select in mode here. So this is the layer I want. I'm going to rename this layer. I'm going to call this one red. So let's select the name, and I'm going to type in what I'm going to call it, red, and now it's ready to go. I want to take this one, and I want to change the color to red. So I'm simply going to go over to Image, Adjust, and I'm going to go to Hue Saturation, or I can hit the Command U, and I'm going to get this window, and I'm going to adjust the hue till I find the color red. Now notice we can go through all the colors in the spectrum, find the color you're looking for. In this situation, I want some red. And if it's too bright, it doesn't look right, it looks fake. And if you lighten it up, it always looks fake. So I always leave that set to 0, or maybe I even darken it a little. So here I'll leave it at 0. But I'm going to take and lower the saturation a little bit. I think that helps it look more like a clear gemstone. So I'm bringing it down. I brought mine to a 20. You use your own visual judgment. I'm going to hit OK. Now this is going to need a drop shadow. So I'm going to double click and affect layer styles. And I'm going to go over to drop shadow. And I'm going to adjust that so I get it, let's see, a little bit more distance on it, and maybe a little bit more size, soften it a little bit. And I can see the shadow. And now I can change the color of the shadow just a little bit here. I can double click, and I want to sample part of the color. So here, I'm sampling the ring, and I can make my shadow have a tone that looks like it's coming from the ring. I don't want a bright red shadow. I want something darker. So I'm going to pick one of these softer tones, and I'm going to hit OK, and I'm going to hit OK. Now that's basically what you're going to do to all the rings so you can have all the different colors. We also need a background layer at this point. So let's do that. We're going to say new layer, and we're going to call this here white layer. And we're going to hit OK. And I'm going to put that at the very bottom underneath everything. And I'm going to say Edit, Fill. And I'm going to use the color white. And now I can really see that shadow a lot better. And I can begin to do that to all the other layers. So let's see. If I were to select this layer here and I wanted to make that one green, I would identify the layer. I would type in the name, green. And then I would make my change. I'm going to hit Command U this time, and I get that window, and here's green. Lower the saturation just a little bit. Hit OK. Now I'm going to add that drop shadow, so I'm going to hit drop shadow. Oh, and let me show you something really neat. Let's make the drop shadow exactly the same. So we're going to click here, and we're going to right click, and we're going to say copy layer style. Now we'll go to the green layer and say paste layer style, and now all we've got to do is change the color, but all the other settings match. So here we'll double click on drop shadow, click on the box, and sample some of the green right from the ring. I want some of the dark red. I don't want that bright green. I want something like that. That looks more natural. We hit OK. Once you've completed making the drop shadow on the green stone green, proceed to do that with all 5 stones to match their rings appropriately to their shadows. Now, next, what you're going to need to do is arrange them and put them in place. So if you grab them with the move tool, you'll notice you can move them. But if you need to rotate them, you can go over to Edit, and you can say Free Transform, and there you can rotate your images. You can also move them and scale them if you so felt the need by hitting the Shift key like that. Okay? So that's how you're going to arrange them. Now, let's talk about how to create a group. So we're going to select all of the above. I'm hitting the Shift key, and I have these 5 selected, right? I could also have done it by clicking the top one, hit the Shift key, go to the bottom one, everything in between gets selected. Now I'm going to go up to the top here where it says layer, and I'm going to say new group or new group from layers. I like doing that. And it'll give it a name called Group 2, or you can call it, rings or whatever. I know it's my Group 2. So as Group 2, I can shut it off. There's Group 1. That's my kind of my finished product. Once you have something in a group, you can do things to it collectively. For example, they'll move as a unit. And if you want to scale them up, again, you hit Command T. You hold down the Shift key, and you can scale it up a little bit. Put it in place, double click, and that completes your assignment.